Hey guys, it's Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Today we're going to be making this lovely Rudolph card with a nose that lights up. I think this is so fun. Let's start off by stamping out our focal image. I'm going to stamp and emboss this little guy because I think he'd make a really cute Rudolph. So that's what we're going to do with him today. I've got out my Misty. I've got this stamp and die here set here for Winter Wonderland from Simon Hurley and Spellbinders. And I'm just going to go ahead and stamp this little guy out. I haven't used this. I've been wanting to. I haven't used this one since last year when it came out. And this is just the cutest set that Simon came up with. I'll go ahead and stamp him down here in the corner. I'm using VersaFine Clair Nocturne because I do love that dark, crisp black outline. And I'm going to cover it in some Wow embossing powder. This is a really good one to use if, like me, you I almost always forget to use your anti-static powder. Because this embossing powder, it has an anti-static property as long as you store it in the container. So now we're going to go ahead and heat up our image and get that crisp, dark black line. This is my favorite way to do black line embossing because clear embossing powder, if it does go somewhere it's not supposed to, you're not going to see it. So I'm going to start by coloring up my little deer. I think that one will be good for the medium brown, and then for his antlers, this one's probably going to work. Okay, so that's what I'm going to use. So I am learning my new Ohuhu markers, and so for the coloring I'm going to use Y210 for his brown, for his body, and then E130. It says it's copper. Okay, I think it says E130. Anyhow, I'm going to use that for his antlers. I may come in and do a second color, but a trick you can do if you don't have a lot of markers is to use the same color in multiple layers to get different intensities. So I don't really need to do that for his little antlers. They're going to just be this dark brown. So I'm going to start with this color coming in. This one is the lighter, the YT10, 210. I'm coming in, starting off with where I know the shadows need to be, and it already looks like it's a little darker than what I was expecting. So I'm going to go ahead and add this as the shadows, and then I'm going to go and get another marker that's going to be lighter. And see if we can just blend that out a little bit and just have this kind of add the shadow areas. He is such a cute little deer. Okay, this one looks like it's going to be a good one to be the lighter color. And this one is E240. And I'm probably going to need a mid-tone to lighten that up. And I'm probably going to need a lighter color again for his snout. I do like it when my animals' snouts are a little bit lighter than the rest of their bodies. Okay, adding a little extra of this one is bringing out some of that darker color, but it's not quite what I want, so I am going to get another marker, I think. But let's go ahead and add a second layer of this one, just to kind of get rid of all that splotchiness. Definitely helps to smooth it. More layers of ink, whether you are doing ink blending or marker coloring, an extra layer of ink will usually smooth things out for you. Okay, so we've got the E240 and the Y210, and let's go with Let's see what Y9 looks like. That one is actually darker. So I'm going to dig into my big bin of markers. These are just some that I've been using a little bit lately, so I've already got them out and on hand. And this bag is so convenient. So to blend it out, I'm going to use the YR2. I think that one is close enough. I do not have as yet a good blending or a blending chart for these yet. It is something I am working on so I can learn what's going to work better. But again, just like with everything else I do, I run out of time. How about you guys? Do you guys run out of time? You want to do all the things and time is just not always on your side. Okay, so coming back in with the lighter, which is this E240. Which, because it's multiple layers, it's not really all that light, right? But it does help to blend everything out and smooth all the colors together. I think our little deer looks pretty good. Okay, and then for his muzzle, I'm going to be using YR260. This one is quite a bit lighter than the others, so we can definitely see his little face. And then, of course, I do want to add a little bit of pink into the ears. I went ahead and colored them with the darker colors, just so that the pink's not going to be quite so obvious, but you can still see it a little bit. There we go, and next we'll move on to the poinsettias. So I'm just going to use a couple of green markers for the greenery part of my poinsettias. This is going to be the G1 and G3. G1 is this darker color, and then G3 is going to be my lighter. And you don't actually have to do it this way. I'm just doing it to give it a little bit of depth. And these are so small that it probably doesn't matter, but it's kind of habit. This is the way I color. I always do at least 2 colors because I want a little bit of dimension there. And this is where I'm not really all that good at it yet. I need to get back into practice and, try some more things, right? So I'm just putting a little bit of the darker green and then coming in and blending it out with the lighter. So it's really not, actually these are pretty close together too. Not really that big of a difference. Okay, so that is it for the greenery. Okay, now we're going to go into the reds of the poinsettia. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my little shadows in where all of those leaves, because they are actually leaves, because poinsettia, believe it or not, is actually a weed that somebody thought was pretty, and that's why we grow them. Anywho, I like them. I have some in my craft room right now. Anyhow, yeah, I'm starting off with this darker, it's that kind of a darker pink, but I've got that as being my shadow area, and then I'm going to bring in my brighter reds to blend that all out. And I think I am going to use my brightest, this one. Yeah, I'm going to use my brighter one first, and then I'll probably come back in with the other, but it's really going to depend on how well these blend together. I think it actually needs a little bit darker. I think I'm going to go in with this one, see how that one does. Yeah, this is going to bring that out just right. And I'm just going to do a little bit of flicking for this. So it kind of blends with the other, but it does give it a little bit extra depth. There we go. So for the center, I'm just going to add some Y6, just as bright yellow. So to die cut out my little critters, what I'm doing is I'm using my Magnetic Magic Mat. I love this thing. I mean, I've been using Magic Mat for years, and it has been a game changer. But this makes it so easy to be able to line everything up right around your stamped images to get a perfect die cutting. Because the Magnetic Mat holds it, holds it in place. Now, if your mat is a little warped, sometimes it won't hold it quite so well, just let you know. But it still holds it in place good enough to be able to get everything lined up without having to worry as much about it shifting. Now, if your other plate is warped and you put it in there wrong, you may move it yourself. That's on you, not on the Magnetic Magic Mat. So I'm going to just run this through, and we're going to have a perfectly cut out deer. So lovely. So I've got one of my little templates here to let me know where to place everything, right? To help me out with that. So this is where the light would go, and this is where the button would go. And if I put that here, I can tell this is overlapping. So that means I cannot hide the mechanism behind my deer. So what am I going to do? I'm going to put a frame around our deer, which is perfect for putting the mechanism down, which means I'm going to have a focal point that is going to be my light up mechanism all included. Okay. But I decided what I was going to do is I was going to do it out of some gold. Now this is some gold cardstock paper, whatever, gold foil paper that I've got from Michael's. That's really not as thick as I'd want, and I've got some scraps in my scrap bin, so I just put some double-sided tape from scrapbook.com on the back, and I'm going to put that onto my gold paper so that it's going to be thicker, it'll die cut better, and it's going to hold up better. I may decide to back it with another couple of pieces of cardstock, haven't decided, but this is the first part that I'm going to do. So I'm only peeling it back part way, and that way I have a better likelihood of actually lining it up and not wasting any of that sticky or anything. And I can put that right over the top, press it down, and now we have that adhered to our cardstock. I do have a little bit left on the bottom. I'm just going to trim that off and use it for another piece of cardstock that needs extra backing. And I'll go ahead and trim that part off as well, because there's not really a point of wasting that either. I can use that bit for something else that does not need to be quite as substantial. Okay, so now I've got a piece here that I'm going to die cut. It looks like I did get a little bit of the sticky overlapping. I don't know if you guys can see that. I've got a little bit here that I did not get the foil on, so I didn't line it up perfect. I'm going to trim that off as well, because it could gum things up. I don't really want to do that. Okay, now we're going to die cut out a couple of our little frames. And this cardstock is perfect size to do that. Now, out of everything here so far, this is the only part that has got me a little bit worried. I want his nose to glow red. So I'm going to punch a hole in his little nose. There we go. It's not exactly perfect, but I'm thinking it's close enough. And then I can add some vellum to the back and color that in red. And now I just need a little bit. Just a little bit. So I'm going to cut off a little bit of that. So before putting the red onto his nose, behind his nose, I need to figure out where do I want the hole to go through the gold, right? So let's say, I think that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and poke that hole. I'm just going to use my pokey tool to start it, and then I can use my hole punch as long as it can reach. There we go. To go right over where I just did that little bit of a hole. You also have to make sure that you can actually see it. And let me see. I'm going to go ahead and put that over the top. And then the light, and see if there's enough light coming through. That may be enough light. I think I'm going to just go with that, with just poking the hole with my pokey tool. Now I can glue my red over behind the nose, making sure that the inked part is facing back so that we don't accidentally smear it. And then I can glue everything in place. I think before I add this little guy on top, because I can reposition him easier, I'm going to go ahead and add our light onto the back here. So the one piece I need to make sure of is that the light is right there, right? So this is the part for the light, and then the other is going to be for the button. And we're going to use some double-sided tape to adhere this down. Now this double-sided tape I'm using is just some stuff that I've got from an old card kit from Spellbinders. It's one of the leftover things that I didn't use up. I'm starting to work my way through some of the things. Yay! But any strong double-sided tape will work. Okay, we just need to make sure that the light is where the hole is. And I think I'm going to actually move it so that the button is a little closer to the outside for when I add my button to push the button. There we go. Now, to make it easier to make sure that I get everything glued on there flat and everything, I'm going to go ahead and add my foam tape to the back of the mechanism now. Part of this is just to make sure that part of it is to make sure it sticks, of course, but part of it is just to make sure everything is nice and level. And this foam tape is the exact perfect. It is absolutely perfect. It is the perfect height, thickness to match up straight with our mechanism. See that? But even better, this stuff is repositionable. So if you mess up and put it down in the wrong spot, you are okay because you can move it. Like you probably just saw me move it when I didn't have it in the right spot. Okay, so that is going to make everything nice and level for when we're adding our deer on. So let's go ahead and add some glue to the back of our deer. And then we need to make sure that the nose goes right over the light. There we go. I think that is... There we go. That is pretty much perfect. Slide the deer over just a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to add a little bit of glue behind the antlers because I didn't get them. I didn't put down a lot of glue in all the places to begin with because I wanted to make sure I got the positioning right. Which, of course, I shifted it. There we go. So, at this point, we're going to put this under a block and let the glue dry. Okay, we are ready to finish this guy up. So, I have a panel, actually half of a panel, that I embossed using an embossing folder from Spellbinders. I will leave the link down below for you guys. But I also want to do... Yeah, because I'm loving my decal trimmer. I'm wanting to have kind of a decorative edge on the edge of these. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and trim this down to 5 1/4 by 4. That will give us that little bit of white space around the edge of our card when we mount this onto our card base. And since we have that much foam, I'm not actually gonna... Yeah, I'm not going to put foam behind it. I'll just put it straight down onto the card base. So we're going to glue that down. And I want to make sure that my trees that are on there are facing up, the points up at the top. This is a real pretty panel, a real pretty embossing folder. Just haven't had much chance to use it yet. There we go. And then we'll put our little deer right in the center there. One of the other good things about this tape is that the release paper comes off super easy. I love this. Also going to put a little bit of double-sided tape on the back of the mechanism itself. And we'll just pop that right onto our card. Now, do I want it in the middle? I think I kind of want it to the side, and then we can have a nice size sentiment on the other. There we go. So all that's left now is a button, of course, to show where you're supposed to push, and our sentiment. Other than that, that card is pretty much done, and it has that nice shimmery shine because I inked up that embossing folder before running it through. Love it! I'm going to use the Have a Holly Jolly Christmas sentiment from that same stamp set and some of the Pear Blossom Press foam because, yeah, gotta have it match, right? It's got to be the same. That one's not quite short enough. Let me trim that down a little bit. There we go, because we want everything to be, about the same height, right? We don't want to have different layers and different levels, and yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this matches. And need one more little piece. I love this little Rudolph. He's so cute. Okay, and then we will just add our sentiment, and then we can add our little button. I went ahead and stamped and embossed both. Stamped and embossed the little press here from the Pear Blossom Press Stamp and Die set. It's got a lot of interactive stamps there. I think that looks good. We're just going to glue this one straight down right over where our button is. So, to make sure it's in the right spot, let's press the button. Of course, we got to test. So, it's right about there. Make sure it's facing right side up. So, right there. There we go. And now I just need to decide, do I want to add any bling to this? So I went into my stash and I found these crystal gems. These are actually from Scrappy Tales. Don't know if they have them or not. But one of the great things is it does not have a silver backing, which means I can add this as Rudolph's nose. Yes, I'm going to do it. Okay. So, anywho, and I did test already to make sure that it was going to look right. So let me show you that. So if I press the button, that is absolutely perfect. And Rudolph's nose glows. And when it's not lit up, you've got your little red gem. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back. And hopefully not drop it or anything. Ooh, that actually held it. Got to put glue right there on his nose where I did the dot. There we go. And add that on there. And we're going to let that dry. That is fabulous. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so we have Rudolph with a red nose that lights up. Okay, that has to dry. In the meantime, I'm going to add a few more of the little gems just because it is too cute. So we're going to let that dry and take one more quick look. One thing I forgot to show you guys is one of the stamps that is in that stamp set from Pear Blossom Press is a light bulb so that you can sign the back of it with a little stamp that says Handmade by You. So I'm stamping the back in Simon Hurley Bee Sting Red to match the rest of it and making sure I sign it. So I'm going to be doing that on all of my light up cards from here on out. So that's going to finish up this video using the Winter Wonderland stamp set from Simon Hurley and turning it into a cute little light up reindeer using Pear Blossom Press lights. Love this. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. And if you're interested in seeing more light up card videos, be sure to check the one out over here. You guys have a great day and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye guys.